Welcome back to the Violet Bee Sugarwater online mystery. We hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend and a little extra time off to help you get caught up on those clues. Here shortly we'll be starting clue number 7, instructions. But first, we want to encourage you to come into the shop and join us for some Quilt to You Wilt time. If you need a little extra time getting caught up on unfinished projects, we've got lots of free sew times. It's going to be kind of hot over the next few days in our area, so I know you're going to want to beat the heat and get into the nice cool air conditioning. If you've been enjoying the online mystery, be sure to join us for the Murder Mystery Retreat weekend coming up on June 24th, 25th, and 26th. It's a mini retreat and it is a blast if you've never done one before. If you've done one before, then you know exactly how much fun they can be. Our Murder Mystery Retreat involves 3 days of great sewing fun, lots of antics and comics from our participants, and great prizes and a sale. Be sure to sign up. There's only a few seats left. Also, keep in mind that the mini retreats are fabulous for coming in and getting some project time. Also, you don't have to go out of town, no gas expense and no hotel expense for our retreats. You get to go home at night to your nice warm bed with your favorite pillow. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to start clue number 7. So we'll meet you right back here. Go get the bag, and we'll see you in a second. Okay, guys, are you ready for clue number 7? Clue number 7 is going to actually be 2 steps, and then at the end, we're going to show you how to put those steps together. After we finish clue 7, watch next week for finishing clue 7 as part of the block. We're going to do part of clue 7 today, and then next week we're going to assemble all of the units for block number 2. Then the following week after that, we're going to show you how to put all this together. We've actually got 3 different options for you. So if this quilt might be a little large, you can break it down into 2 separate quilts. So be sure to check for that. Get your clue 7 bag, and the first thing you want to do is you want to pull out your background strips that measure 3.5 inches. You're going to have 2 sizes of background strips in this bag, so be very careful and measure them before you start to cut. So get the ones that measure 3.5 inch strips, and you're going to subcut those strips into 3.5 inch square units. You will need to cut 48 background strips squares measuring 3.5 inches. Go ahead and get that done, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes to do the next part. Welcome back. Now that you've gotten all of your 3.5 inch squares cut, go ahead and put these back into your Ziploc bag. We'll be using them later on in this portion of our video. And just set them aside. Now let's get out your 3 7/8 inch strips of your background and your print. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting 3 7/8 inch squares from these 2 fabrics. You will need a total of 24 squares from each of the background and of the print. Be sure that you cut off your salvage when you prepare to cut your units. When we're measuring 3 7/8, it's important to use our ruler properly. First off, we want to count off 3 inches and then 7/8 of an inch. 7/8 of an inch is always one line before the next inch. So if we count off 3 inches, then we're going to count these little hash marks. 7 of them will equal 7/8 of an inch. Go ahead and cut your units, and we'll meet you back here in just a minute. Now what we're going to do is show you a technique in working with half square triangles. Whenever we cut our squares for 3 7/8 inch, we are normally going to be making half square triangles by cutting it in half from one point to the other. When we do that technique, we end up working with a bias cut. That means this cut here is very stretchy, and as we work with it, sometimes we distort it or stretch it out, and then the end result is our squares are kind of odd shaped, or they just don't fit into our quilt very well. we're going to actually show you a technique that some of you may already be using of putting two squares together and kind of faking making this half square triangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the back of our background using a mechanical pencil. Hopefully you have a mechanical pencil. If not, be sure to pick some of these up on your next shopping trip. They're not very expensive and they're fabulous for doing this technique. Some of you may be saying, well, why not just use a regular pencil? Well, a regular pencil, lead, is much fatter, whereas a mechanical pencil is very, very narrow. And we need to make the smallest mark we can, and we want to make sure that the mark's not so wide that it messes up our measurement any. So we're going to pause a minute in case you have one nearby. Go ahead and get your mechanical pencil and meet us right back here for a cute little trick. Now that we have our squares cut and our mechanical pencil handy, it's also good to have a smaller ruler, a real narrow one. The bigger rulers you can use, but sometimes they're a little cumbersome when we're working with small squares. What we want to do is take a square of our print and a square of our background and put them right sides together. Stack them neatly so that the raw edges line up perfectly. With it on point, and I mean on point where it's pointing like a triangle to our stomach, we want to take our ruler and lay it from this corner to this corner. Be sure to allow just a wee little bit of the point to hang out to make sure that we allow for the width of our pencil lead. Holding our ruler down, we want to rock our pencil back and forth. We don't want to grab at the top and drag because that's just going to pull our fabric and stretch it and maybe even poke a hole in it. So we just very gently want to rock it back and forth, almost like you're using a paintbrush to draw our little pencil line, just like you see here. We want to go ahead and match these up in sets, remember, right sides together, and go ahead and draw these lines. Get them nice and stacked together like this, and then we can carry them to the sewing machine. Go ahead and get that done, and we'll be back to show you what to do next.